Don't look at me like that. All right. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the EJB Talk Show. Today, I have a very, very special guest. Not UFT student, but it's cool. Amazing violist. And now I'm finding out amazing composer, Savannah Seibel. How are you doing this morning, Savannah?
You know, I am free. Just did my last exam. I'm going to go home tomorrow. And, you know, I feel like everything this semester felt like it was going to, like, crash and burn and, like, fall off the cliff and everything. And then it just happened. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So, you know, like, I am feeling good.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm here. So I caught your amazing recital last Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about that in a sec, but I just want to ask, like, how has it been kind of, like, the days after and, like, kind of coming down and relaxing after that show?
Yeah, it felt like, I felt like a physical weight off of me when it was over. I think just because I was stressing about it a lot, and so these past few days, I've just been taking it easy, which has been good, because I don't think I was really taking it easy for, like, a while. And also because, you know, I've been recovering from an injury for the past year, and so just having time to be like, wow, I actually don't have to play anything, like, I just can play if I want to. That's kind of nice. And right. I did. The other day, I just, like, picked it up. I was surprised at myself. Like, oh, I can't believe I'm touching my instrument after my recital.
How many days out after your recital?
It was, like, 2 days after. And I was surprised at myself. But, yeah, no, I just, like, got some scores from the library and just, like, sight read some stuff. And was thinking about maybe what I want to play next year, which is crazy that I'm already thinking about it, but, you know, just, like, having fun with it, which I think is good, because sometimes life gets the better of you, and then you're like, oh, yeah, this is why I do this, right?
What else particularly was, like, stressing you out before the program, like, in your personal case?
I think I just, like, apart from, like, my injury, which got better, like, a lot better, and then I started playing a lot in April, and it started getting worse again. That was stressful, because I kind of felt like, well, what if all this work I put in doesn't really show because I physically can't? But that was, like, just something that I've been dealing with for a while. I think what was really stressing me out was that our orchestra concert was 2 days before. Yeah. And the entire week before my recital, we were doing what GGS calls Project Week, where, like, Monday through Thursday, we do 5 hours of rehearsal, and then Friday is the dress and the concert. But that doesn't leave much room for, like, practicing your own rep as it is. And then me with my injury, I was like, I literally can't. I can't overdo it. And so I, like, didn't practice my recital rep. I barely did during that week. And I was, like, so stressed about it. I was like, what if I, like, you know, like, I can't, like, get it together. And so, yeah. But there was a certain point during the week that I kind of gave up, which sounds really bad, but I was kind of like, you know what, like, I have been working on this stuff for a long time. I think that, like, where I'm at right now is just where it's going to be, and I have to, like, be okay with that. And, like, I always think I can do better,
right?
But there's like a certain point where you have to be like, you know what, this is my better right now, like, this is what I can do, and I have to just, like, own that. So yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So I want to talk about your program. Like, what made you kind of go with the pieces that you chose, but I guess in particular the last two pieces. It was really nice to see you talk after, like, right before, talk about the piece, which is interesting because I'm, like, kind of super hot on, like, not doing that in my case. Like, I'm a huge fan of letting the music speak for itself, but I'm also not a fan of when people don't talk because they're just shy and don't want to. Right. Like, they're, like, everything I think should have a reason, but it was so, like, special and, like, important, like, in the program that, like, you kind of talked about, especially the Hindemith. So, like, what kind of made you want to program that piece?
I honestly was just looking for like a shorter piece, and I came across it because I work at the music library at RCM,
Right.
and so, you know, I'll be organizing shelves and stuff, and sometimes I find myself in like the viola repertoire section, and I'll be like, let me just like take a look at these while I'm doing this, you know, may as well just like see what we've got here. And so I came across it and I was like, how have I never heard this piece before?
So you've never heard of it before?
I hadn't. I think I had like it had been mentioned to me.
Okay.
But I had never actually listened to the piece, and so I was like, I should listen to this piece. And I listened to it and I was like, this is actually beautiful, and I didn't know the story about it at the time. I just thought it was really nice, and I realized it was for strings, and there's this nice like dynamic at GGS where people will just play in your recital. Like it's really great. Like people make orchestras for their recital, like just because people are willing to do it, so it's really fun. So I thought like, why don't I try to do that? Like I think it would be really fun to get some people together and do a string orchestra or like string ensemble, you know, because I just did 2 per section. And yeah, just like work on it. And so I asked my teacher Steve if it was fine, and he thought it was a good idea. And so yeah, I just decided to kind of challenge myself in that way, because I'd never done anything like that before.
Totally.
So that was like the first reason. But then once I found out the backstory of it, I was like, wow, this is even more of a special piece, because I think I maybe am reading into it a little much, which I tend to do in life. Like I always am looking for like the deeper meaning, but like to me, when I like realized the whole situation around the piece, which for those who don't know is that he wrote it in a matter of 5 hours, I think, the day that it was premiered to honor the late king's death. And yeah, to me it was just like powerful that like, I guess it shows that like human creativity is so like ingrained, like that oftentimes you'll like sit down and you'll think about something like a piece that you're writing or that you're practicing for so long, and I'll be like, this has to be perfect, and like, you know, takes like magnum opus, right? And then like this guy just sits down and is like, everyone is mourning, this is grief, I'm going to write how I feel, and then this beautiful piece came out of it. And yeah, it just felt very like, what's the word for it, very simple in like a beautiful way, you know. So I really appreciated that, and that's why I felt like sharing the backstory with people. And I probably would have like elaborated on it more if it hadn't been a recital. I felt like, you know, I'm gonna not talk for too long here, but yeah, I thought it was very special to me. It became very special to me the more that I like kind of thought on it. So yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing with us as performers or even just consumers of music and art, is like drawing our own personal conclusions of it, whether it's...
One sec. I didn't get that. Could you try again?
What the hell? Oh shit. Oh no, you're chilling. Okay, wait, let me fix this. What the hell? Okay. How long is this? Okay. You can pick up here. It'll be fine. I'm just gonna clap again. Okay. That's so silly. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Drawing our own personal conclusions to the music we listen to and play, and like whether it's like accurate or not. Like I don't like when people are like, this is the this is the right interpretation. You know, it's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like maybe it is, but like that's not what it's about. You know, it's like what we feel like personally. Because if it was always the way it should be, we'd all be like walking gray blobs, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a really beautiful piece, and it was so like, the way you describe it's kind of like truly like less is more kind of thing, both in like in its process and its like presentation. Yeah. My opinion. What was the rehearsal process like? You had 9 people up with you, and was like, how often did you guys rehearse? And
yeah, we did 2 rehearsals, and then we ran it like an hour before the recital. And yeah, it was honestly nerve-wracking for me because like I've played a solo with orchestra before, but like obviously in a larger orchestra you have a conductor who's doing a lot of the decision making for you.
Was that with your youth orchestra?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so yeah, the conductor is doing a lot of the decision making, right? Like, oh guys, be quieter here, or bring this out here, you know, or watch here, you know. And so I don't think I really realized what I got myself into in like until like a week before we were supposed to rehearse, and I was like, oh, like I really need to like be that person.
Yes.
I have to direct.
Yeah.
And I think part of what gave me like the strength to keep going with it was that I watched a few Tafelmusik rehearsals the last semester, and it was really interesting to watch because they would have soloists come in, like Rachel Podger on violin, or they had an oboe soloist, had a few people, and they would just stand up in front of the group and just lead. They would make suggestions, they would kind of move the tempo like through their body and everything. And so I think watching that made me be like, it is possible for a group to be together without a conductor, you know, and to just like work through it as a group. So that was really cool to do, actually. Like it took a little bit of warming up for me, but like standing in front of all my friends and all of that, being like, oh, why don't we do this? But everyone like really worked with me and like had their own suggestions, and it was really fun to be able to just collaborate. Like it was true collaboration, just like working together. So, and it definitely, it challenged me in a completely new way that I'd never had to do before. So yeah.
It was also like, because when I see some people do that, they don't even like conduct the orchestra. They just kind of like let it run. I didn't conduct my ensembles. Whenever I did solo, it was like quartet, which was already scary enough. Of like 4 people. I can imagine 9 people of many different instruments. But like you like presented so well the way you like were conducting. Have you watched your video back at all?
Parts of it.
Okay.
I had to send a couple of them in for a scholarship, and I just like screen recorded them on mute because I like couldn't bring myself to listen to them yet. But like I was like kind of watching a little bit.
It's pretty sick. I think I think it looks really good. Yeah. But yeah, I think stuff like that. There's this like really famous percussionist. He's like kind of mostly in the chamber world, and he has this thing where it's like the music will sound better without a conductor. Anyway, so just kind of like, I think, a kind of the sense of like true connection of like the people like producing the sound. Yeah. Of course, like no, I love conductors, and I think they do a lot. But that was something that kind of opened my eyes with that, which is really interesting. But yeah, that was a really great performance of that. I want to talk about your piece. Yeah, so you did the third movement out of 3.
Yes.
3 light sketches. 3 light sketches.
Yes.
Okay. This wasn't the premiere of like the third movement.
No, it was not. I premiered it with my friend Shyler in March. We had a composition showcase, which is what I wrote it for. Okay.
What is the composition showcase? Is it like for GGS students to like bring their compositions?
Yeah, it was actually the first one we've ever done.
Okay.
It was a kind of a new experiment, and I think we'll do more of them because there was, some genuine interest shown. But yeah, basically we did a sign up where you could sign up to compose, or if you had a composition that you wanted, and then the list was sent out to the school, and people would just sign up for what they wanted to play. And so it was kind of scary, like when I submitted, I was like, oh my gosh, who's gonna want to play this with me? But then Shyler immediately stepped in and wanted to do it, so that was really nice. And yeah, there was just a lot of interest, so it was really fun to do that and just see like people being interested in new music and also just like supporting each other. Right. So yeah.
So when the call came out, did you already have the piece ready, or you saw the call then like made it like your deadline for the piece?
Yeah, it was definitely a deadline because what I did was I have had ideas in the past, which I would either like record for later, or I would write down a little bit of it and be like, oh yeah, this is great, I'll definitely do something with this eventually when I finally decide to take composing seriously. And so going off of that, I decided to just kind of take some of those ideas that I'd had and see what I could do with them. And it was really hard. Like, I started in November, and I did a lot in November, and then December I like barely did anything. And then I kind of picked it back up in like late January, and I realized that I had to submit it at the end of February, and I was like, I have to finish it now. Like, I can't just say I'm not gonna finish. And so it was a challenge trying to like figure out what I wanted to do with it. And I think if I had more time, I probably could have even done more with it. But for what it's worth, like, it being my first completed piece that I've ever done, and just having fun with it was really fun. It was really cool for me to just be like, oh yeah, I actually can finish a piece. Like, you have just started them, but now I finished it. So yeah, it was kind of affirming, I guess, for me to be like, I can, and now it makes me want to do more with it, you know. So.
And how was the response that you received, like, after the premiere of it? Like, was it something that you were kind of expecting, or like was something that was a complete surprise to you? Like, what do you feel?
I didn't really know what to expect. I was mostly just really nervous to share it with people, because it's one thing to present something that you didn't write, that you're just interpreting, right? Because people could say, oh, I didn't really like that, but you could be like, well, then you can play it differently, right?
You can blame Beethoven.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, it's like, no, this is something that I envisioned, and I'm playing it exactly the way I envisioned it. And if you don't like it, then what does that say about me, right? Which, you know, I was getting all in my head about it, but I was like, yeah, this is scary to like show your friends and your peers something that you just came up with. But it was so much more positive than I could have ever thought. Like, everyone was so supportive about it, and just telling me that they really enjoyed it, and people wanted to know about, you know, the thoughts behind it and everything. And so yeah, it was really nice for me to see that people wanted to hear it, and that they liked it, you know, and thought it was interesting, and that definitely was also like affirming for me. So yeah.
And what was like because I haven't heard the first two movements, so what are they like in contrast to the one you ended with on your recital?
They're all pretty different, because I was struggling with it to decide on kind of what approach I wanted to take with it. And I eventually kind of had this idea of, well, like, don't just make it about classical music, make it about like whatever you like. And so like the first movement was kind of like very 20th century viola music, I guess, which obviously I like because I'm a violist. Like Hindemith, for example. Like, you can imagine Hindemith, or even Rebecca Clark, people like that kind of wrote a lot of interesting music for the viola in the 20th century. It's got kind of like a weird funkiness to it. I kind of went with that because obviously like that's something that draws me to the viola. Like, I really like the repertoire, so I was like, why not kind of get inspired by that? And then the second movement, I was waffling between doing a more like early music style or a more romantic. I went with romantic because I really want to do, like, if I were to do something in an earlier music style, I would want to do it really right. And I feel like the more I learn about it, the more I'm like, wow, I really need to like study this. Like, it's a lot. So I decided to kind of do a more like romantic, you know, schmutzy, whatever you call it, music. And it was kind of fun, kind of slow, and yeah. And then the third movement was, I have been very inspired by the Danish string quartet for a while, because I have listened to all of their traditional music albums, and I love what they're doing because you know, so many string quartets, like, they play the classics, right? They play Beethoven, Brahms, and Mozart, Haydn, right? And, like, all of that is amazing, obviously, but, like, it's just cool to see, like, that configuration of instruments being used for folk music, which
I was gonna say it was like giving out very like folk
vibes. And so that's what
what
inspired me, was just like listening to them a lot and being like, this is so great. I really love folk music, and to see it kind of the lines being blurred between that and classical music is really great. So yeah, that was the third movement's inspiration.
I definitely was hearing that too, just like the way that both instruments, like seeing two violas too, it was definitely also giving off. I'm not sure if this was an inspiration of yours, but a little bit of Steve Reich, honestly. Like very just kind of creating this like larger composite sound with like what both instruments are producing on, like in the space, right? But what else, like what other like influence like more directly like artists, like performers, composers, maybe people you listen to, like influence the like other aspects of the piece too?
It's funny that you mentioned Steve Reich, actually, because I really like his music.
Really?
Yes.
I really do as well. But I'm a percussionist, so it's
that makes sense.
So
but...
I'm so in love with his work, but I've rarely ran into other instruments being like, I love Steve Reich too.
I do. I really do. I actually wrote like part of I had a class in my first year, music history class, and we talked about him a little bit, and one of my sections of my like written final, I wrote about him, and I was like, I had stuff to say. I can't remember exactly what I said now, but
you know like the old artists in residence here and like faculty at U of T for percussion were like part of the original like Steve Reich ensemble.
Wow.
And like they would like rehearse his music and gear. It was like, wow, like this place has like a lot of history with his music, which I had no clue about.
That is really neat.
It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Yeah, I really like his music for 18 musicians, and it's like I could talk about it for a while. That's not the question you asked, but yeah. Anyways, it's funny that you say that, because he wasn't like a direct influence for what I was writing, but it is because like I really liked his music, so maybe subconsciously I was getting inspired by him. But yeah, I don't know if I would say like I have any other like specific people. I think that mostly I was just getting inspired off of experiences I've had with music, and just like the way that I feel towards certain kinds of music. And yeah, just like I feel like there was a time when I kind of limited my exposure to music in some ways. Like I would be like, I was only listening to classical music from the 19th century, you know, or kind of like I was only listening to these three people or whatever. And I've really made it a goal of mine in the last few years, especially, to just really listen to anything, like even stuff that I don't think I would like, and the things that I've discovered is really great. So I think, that it's why it makes more sense for me to have made a piece that was so kind of polarizing in some ways from movement to movement, because it kind of represents me in some ways too. Like I think sometimes I'm feeling like this, and other times I'm feeling like that, and like there's so much merit to diversity and variety in that sense. People will call it, like, people will use the word inconsistency as like a negation, but it's really like it's a strength in my opinion when people are so well listened and well versed in their tastes and styles, right? That in general is just so cool that GGS kind of opened that opportunity, because that's a school without a composition program. Like, people don't go there for, like, there's no composition faculty or anything, so the entire program was like kids in your school who compose music. That's really sick. Yeah, it is. And there's like so much talent as well. Like I didn't even realize like some people were also into composing, and then like I listened to their pieces and I was like, wow, like you should consider pursuing this a little more seriously, because like there was some really, really great stuff going on, and so it was just really nice to see like people being so interested in it.
Do you see yourself taking it a bit more seriously, or just like do you still want to like do the viola thing and still compose? Like what do you feel?
I don't know if I could make like composition like a main thing for me, because I feel like sometimes my creative output is very spontaneous almost.
Okay,
like sometimes I'm really feeling it, and other times I just can't bring myself to do it, and so like I don't think I could see myself doing it like more regularly per se, but I do want to do more composing, like, and I think it'd be fun to just like compose things I could play with my friends, you know, just interesting little pieces maybe. And I mean, I want to compose serious things too, but I think, you know, to have fun with people, especially in music, is like one of my favorite things. Like that's part of why I do it, is because I'm doing it with other people. So yeah, like if I were to keep composing stuff, I think I would probably keep doing stuff like what I did with the 2 violas. Not all for viola, obviously. Yeah, I'll write my next one for 3 violas, then the next one for 4, and I'll just keep going up by one.
2T viola symphony.
No, how about no? But yeah, we'll see where I go with it.
Totally.
We'll just, maybe I'll get inspired again. I'm going to Banff in the summer, and so maybe the mountains will call to me. Like, oh yes, I had a dream. I'm going to write a new piece. But yeah.
I'm gonna take it back a bit. This is the first question I usually ask in every interview. But I want to talk about that very badly first. So what would you say is your first musical memory that you've like ever had of just music, or like literally remembering music around you at the youngest age you can remember?
Oh man. The very earliest memory, probably my parents' CD player, and they had like they had all of the like baby Mozart CDs and like baby Beethoven, baby Bach. Like they have a whole collection of like all these composers, and my parents had a few. And I think that's probably the earliest I can remember like listening to classical music, and even just music. Like I think like that kind of goes to show like it left an imprint on me, because I can't really remember earlier than that like listening to other kinds of music other than that. So
do you remember how old you were?
I was definitely like, oh gosh, like 3 or 4. Like I was really young. Wow. And even there was this time when I think I was actually in preschool, and we had nap time in preschool, and they would turn off the lights and they would lay us down on mats, and then they would play classical music. And one time on the way home from preschool, I was in the back seat and I was humming Eine kleine Nachtmusik by Mozart, and my mom was like, "Why are you humming? Where did you learn that, sweetie?" And I was like, "From nap time." And so my mom was like, "Oh, you're not napping during nap time?" I'm like, "No, I'm listening to the music." So then she bought me earplugs to wear during nap time, and of course I just took them out and played with them instead. So yeah, nap time never really went well for me when I was a kid. I was just too busy listening. But yeah, no, that's kind of a core memory, I guess.
Right.
So.
Oh, that's like probably one of the best ones.
Yeah.
That was so crazy. Are your parents aren't musicians? Are they just like enthusiasts of?
My mom played piano when she was a kid, but she, hasn't done that in a long time. And my dad actually did a minor in music.
Okay.
For voice. So he's a baritone, and he's actually really great. I think he could have made a career out of it if that's what he'd wanted, but he didn't want that, and that's fine. Yeah, so he still sings every now and then, and enjoys singing. But I'm the only one of the family that is actually pursuing music as a career. So,
Right.
yeah.
That's crazy. What how old did you start like playing? Like what made your parents want to like put you into an instrument at a young age?
Well, when I was 6, they thought maybe my dad could try to start teaching me some piano, because he also plays piano, and so started doing that a little bit. But you know what they say, like, parents should not be you shouldn't be teaching your child, because because it's hard, like,
okay.
the difference between being a parent and a teacher is like there's just some things that don't work, right? And so anyways, he tried teaching me. It wasn't going that great. And then literally just a couple of weeks after that, my grade 2 teacher said to my parents at, I don't know, the parent-teacher conference or something, she was like, I think Savannah might like doing the string orchestra here at our school, because I was still living in California at the time, and so, like, string orchestra is still a thing in a lot of American schools, which I wish it was here in Canada, but that's another conversation. But anyways, she said, yeah, I think she would like to be in orchestra. She's got, like, an ear for it, and, like, she's not struggling in class, so, like, I don't think that, like, taking on an extra thing will be bad, right? And so my parents were kind of like, oh, okay, like, we don't really know anything about that. And so they just asked me, like, do you want to try? And I was like, okay, sure. And actually, when the school asked me which instrument I wanted to play, I wanted to play cello, because I really liked the low sound of the cello. And they said, oh, we're so sorry. We don't have any that are small enough for you. So I said, oh, okay, well, how about I play viola then? And they were like, sorry, we don't have any of those for you either. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll play violin. So that's how I got started playing violin.
Okay.
And, I really liked it, and kind of got a good start. Well, a decent start at least. I got my exposure to it there. Yeah. And then when I moved up to Edmonton, I added viola when I was like 11 or 12. And I didn't want to at first. I'd forgotten my original dream of playing a low string instrument. And I was like, no, I like the violin. I don't want to play viola. And then my mom was like, just try it and see. You might like it.
What made them like want?
It was because my teacher, he plays both, and he had said, it's good to at least know how to read alto clef and like have a little bit of experience playing it, because you can always get a gig on a viola, you can't always get a gig on violin. And so my mom heard that and was like, oh, let's try you on viola. So I didn't want to do it, but then I was like, okay, fine, I'll try. And then I played the C string and I was like, oh wait, I kind of like this. And so anyways, long story short, it's no wonder that I ended up focusing solely on viola after a few years, because that was kind of what I wanted to do anyways.
Right.
Like, it's about as close to the cello as you can get, right? Once you've started violin. But sorry, that was a really long-winded answer.
Okay, this is all you, don't worry. What age did you move up to Edmonton?
I was 9. I had just turned 9. So I've spent more than half my life up here, and Canada's definitely home for me now.
Right.
Like, I don't ever think about the States and be like, oh, I miss it, I want to go back. No. Whenever school year's over, I'm like, I want to go back to Edmonton. So yeah.
Right.
But I do owe it to my grade 2 teacher in my California elementary school for getting me started on this, because I don't know if I would have ever gone down this path if it hadn't been for that, because both my parents, I don't think they would have thought to put me on violin. So yeah.
Interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So by the time you switched to viola, like how seriously were you taking it, and like what kind of activities were you doing in Edmonton? But like all the way to the age of, like, high school? Like, what kind of things were you doing at that time?
Yeah, I was doing violin and viola both pretty seriously, I would say, from like 11 till I was 14 or 15, I want to say. Okay. And yeah, like I was serious about it. I didn't know if it was really something I wanted to do as my career yet, but like it was pretty much my only extracurricular that I was doing. And so yeah, I was doing those, taking lessons. I was in orchestra, but it came to a point where I was like, I don't think I can keep spending this much time on 2 instruments, because just like the amount of practice that you have to do to play the level of repertoire I was at, I was just like, this is not sustainable. I think I need to like make a choice and just focus. And I didn't know what to pick. I was so conflicted. I mean, deep down I wasn't, but I felt like some loyalty to violin, of course. But my mom was basically like, you know, if you sat the 2 instruments down in front of you, laid them down. Sorry, I'm acting like they're people. If you laid them down in front of you, which one would you want to pick up and play first? And, like, putting it that way, I was like, well, okay, there's no question. Like, I would pick viola. And so that was kind of how I decided to focus on doing viola. And so ever since then, since I was about 14 or 15, I still have my violin. I still play it sometimes, but I don't really have any desire to do violin professionally. It's just not me. I don't know. That's the best way I can put it. Like, I really enjoy the mellowness of the viola and just like, even just like the repertoire that we have. Like, I think it suits me a little better. So I think I made the right choice. And yeah, around that time is when I also got a lot more serious about it and decided to focus on it more. And I went to the Mount Royal Conservatory in Calgary for a year, which is where I met my old teacher, Nick Poulos, who definitely pushed me even more in this direction. Like, if I was unsure then, like, he definitely made me be like, okay, yes, I do want to do this. So I owe it to him for sure. And then, you know, COVID hit when I was in grade 10. And that threw everything off for me for a few years. Like, it
was grade 10 for you, right?
It was grade 10.
I forgot you're a year under me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was grade 10. And so I was already doing online school because of the conservatory, because I had to travel down for it every week. And I was just like, I don't want to skip school every week for that. So I was already in online school, so it was kind of nice that nothing really changed for me, like, in terms of school. But besides that, made me question a lot. Like, is this what I really want to do? Right. Because I wasn't doing anything. Like, I didn't have anything to strive towards. Like, everything, like, all the summer programs I was going to do got canceled. I wasn't playing with anyone, which is, like, like I said, what I love to do the most is playing with people. And so it really made me be like, I don't think I even like this anymore. Like, what's the purpose? And so, yeah, that was a struggle. I actually applied to the University of Alberta for an arts degree, not a music degree. And only after my mom and my teacher were like, just try music. You never know. If you hate it, then you can always, like, switch your major. I was like, okay, fine. I guess I'll do music. And I was really not excited about it, actually, for my first year. And then I got into NYO. And I was like, yay.
Really?
Yeah, because I was still very much in that mindset of, like, I thought that I didn't like it anymore. Like, I thought I had gotten tired of music.
Was it like a general burnout?
It was definitely, I was so burned out from it. Okay. And so I was kind of like, I might go to NYO and, like, this is the worst thing ever, because I'm just gonna have to be playing music for 2 months straight. And like, I don't want to do it anymore, right? But then my mom was like, it's free, like, you should just go, like, you can go, like, go on a tour, you'll meet people, and, like, you never know what you might think. And so I was like, okay, fine, when you put it that way, I guess I'll go. And I went, and, like, obviously, that changed a lot for me. This was in 2022, by the way, and, you know, COVID was still there. Like, we still had to wear masks sometimes and test and all that. It was a bit tough at times, but just, like, going back in a orchestra, playing music with people, and, like, remembering that that's something that I love to do, I was like, oh my gosh, it was like a big moment for me. I was like, I don't hate music. I actually love music. I just needed, like, I lost the plot for a little bit. So yeah, I was very grateful actually that NYO got put in my path and that I chose to take that path because and yeah, I guess it's a good thing that my mom and my teacher were like, go into music, because then coming out of NYO that summer, I was actually excited to go into music, and I was like, well, I'm already going to be doing it now. It's great. But I also realized that I think I had limited myself a little bit because I didn't apply anywhere else.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember that, yeah.
So I did my first year at the U of A, and, you know, the U of A has a lot of strengths and a lot of great things about it, but I think I was looking for something a little different.
Right.
And I realized too late that, you know, I hadn't actually tried to go do something. So then I ended up transferring to GGS in my next year, and yeah, I'm so glad I'm here. Like, obviously it's tough. There's a lot of busyness and challenges, but it's all helped me a lot in my growth, not just as a musician, but like as a person. So yeah, and I wouldn't go back. Right. Everything that's happened shaped me into who I am today. Yeah. That sounds so cheesy, but no, it's true.
It's true though. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Back when you were really like super dead into it, and then till now, like, have you had the same kind of long-term goal of what you generally wanted to do with music? If that makes sense, like, do you still, your long-term goal right now, is it similar to kind of what it looked like when you were a little younger, but like super like dedicated?
Yeah, I think, like, even when I was like 15 and wanting to do music seriously, professionally, like, I always thought orchestra would be the thing I want to do. And it's probably a lot to do with the fact that that's most of the exposure I've had is like I started in a string orchestra. I was in a little amateur orchestra before I got into the Edmonton Youth Orchestra, and then I went to the National Youth Orchestra. So it's kind of been like my whole life, it's been kind of, orchestra's been like that lifeline a little bit. So I think I've had so much experience in it that for me it feels very, I don't know, comfortable almost. And so I've always kind of wanted to do orchestra, and I still feel that way. Like, even like now doing gigs with the Edmonton Symphony now, which I sometimes do, which I'm super grateful for, like just getting that opportunity to be in a professional setting and be like, and see how it is. I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally see myself doing this. It feels very natural for me. So that has stayed the same pretty much. I've never really wanted to do much soloistic stuff, which actually works out great that I became a violist, because violin is a lot more of a virtuosic instrument, I think. So
that's what they all say. I heavily disagree with that. Well, I mean, no, it's like I feel like everything is capable to be a very soloistic instrument.
It's true. Everything can. And I think viola can be for sure. Yeah. Like, there's so many great solo pieces for viola, but I think people tend to think of the violin as very, like, you know, Paganini and Tchaikovsky, all this, you know, but yeah, anyways, that never really appealed to me anyways, so I guess I landed in a good spot.
Interesting.
But, you know, I have gotten, like, I've mentioned this a couple times but I have gotten very interested in, like, historically informed performance, which is something I had never spared a thought for.
Is there a connection to that over at GGS? Is that how you're able to...
Yeah, it really is. Like, I feel like it's a shame how little people know about that sort of thing unless you get a chance to take a class or talk to somebody who knows a lot about it. Like, it's just not common knowledge, the kind of stuff that they do with early music. And so I'd never even thought about it. Like, I didn't even really think about the fact that there were whole ensembles out there dedicated to historically informed performance. Like, and so, this semester we did a class on that subject and just learned a lot about the composition styles, like elements of it, the instruments, the notation, everything, like technique. And it was fascinating because I was like, how is it so different than what we do now? How did it get to where we are now? And also just like watching Tafel music, got the chance to sit on their rehearsals and go to concerts and just see what it's like. And it definitely sparked some new interest in me to just kind of explore that more. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that I want to join like a Baroque orchestra or something. Like, that remains to be seen. Like, obviously everyone who goes into that sort of thing has a whole story behind it, I'm sure. And I don't know if I'm at that point yet, question mark, I don't know, but I think I want to try at least to see what it's like. Like, I want to play on a Baroque instrument for a little bit and just feel it out and really commit to that, I think. Right. Because in the past I will have played Bach, solo Bach, and been vibrato, and very sustained and very much not Baroque style technically. And so now I'm kind of I want to challenge myself. Yeah, I'm actually me and my friend Robin are gonna do Brandenburg 6 next year for 2 violas, and I haven't told her yet, but I really want to try doing it in a very Baroque style. Right, but absolutely. I mean, obviously we can come to some sort of compromise. I'm not saying, oh yes, let's play at A415 on Baroque instruments with everything, but to just kind of challenge ourselves to do that would be really fun, I think. So yeah, I remember watching the Tafel Music Institute's concerts last year because they do their stuff in this building. And I'll just kind of check it out, and it was it's historically informed performances are always so sick. There's only one type of Baroque percussion instrument, it's timpani, right? And they don't even offer a spot in that institute for that. Really? So because it's only one spot. It's there's not that much interest for it. I might send an email though. I don't know. I'm super interested in that because I also really like early music in that sense. It's kind of funny how my taste kind of jumps from early music, and then I'm not really hot on anything between there and the 20th century. But that's super interesting. I was asking earlier about your kind of long-term goals looking the same, just because after this year and seeing your recital this year, even seeing your recital last year and seeing hearing your composition, it's so interesting how much you've diversified yourself and kind of proved yourself to be very capable in those disciplines in those respects, and I was just wondering if anything piqued any interest of kind of pursuing that, even solo playing. I'm you're a very incredibly convincing and a very passionate performer. It's very inspiring. It's you're one of those players who can make one note sound really musical. I don't know. I'm not sure if my ears are just crazy, but I think they're not. You know what I mean? So, but I'm just I still think about your recital a lot, honestly. Even last year's recital, which is I'm not sure how you feel about that a year after. I mean, everyone's like that. I feel that about my recital a year after from last year. And then I also kind of cringe when I look back at my recital this year when my little nitpicky personal moments, right? It's just really interesting. I really hope that you'd also see the
kind of see the merits in your own kind of strengths in those ways.
Yeah, I think I do tend to be like, I have an ideal version of what I want it to be, but like the actual getting to that is so hard, and you're never going to be able to perform and have every single thing that you wanted go the way you wanted.
Right.
And that sometimes it's really hard for me to reconcile with.
Right.
And to still feel like proud of what I did. And I think that a lot of musicians do that too. Like a lot of them are very like perfectionistic, like I practiced this so much, so like why did this happen, you know? Yeah. And even like me, like there was like a couple things that happened in my recital that went a lot better than I thought they would, and then there were a couple of things that literally I have never messed up in my life. And then of course the day of something happens, right? And so stuff like that, it's very hard for me to look at it and be like, oh yeah, I feel great.
Interesting.
You know, but I think I'm slowly learning, like as I get older and have more experience, that it's not about that. Like it's not about how many notes you got right or wrong, or like, you know, how closely you got to perfection. It's like, it's more about like putting in that emotion, like that just like human aspect, because like we are all human, like we're not robots, we cannot do it perfectly, and so why not just like lean into that and just really like draw upon like emotions and try to like give something to the audience, you know, that's really your inner thoughts, what you want them to hear, you know. And so I've been trying to focus on that and just really be like, it's okay. It's okay.
Of course, yeah.
Like, yes, this happened, but then other good things happened, and yeah, you know, I say all this, and I'm still gonna like look at my recital recording later and be like, it was so bad, you know? But all I'm saying is slowly but surely, you know, I think we're all gonna get to that point where we see it like that. So yeah.
Well, it's the beauty of live performance, right?
Yeah.
Like if they want like robotic like excellence and accuracy and all that, then like, you know, there's recordings.
ChatGPT is getting better.
Yeah, there's like happily recordings out there that have existed for decades that you can just kind of like check out.
Yeah.
Right. That is so funny too. Yeah, that's like something I've been wrestling with and never like spoken about with people, about how when I'm practicing a piece, like a new piece for the first time, I'm like doing a passage and I'm like, I'm probably gonna mess this up in the show. You know? And then the show, and then sometimes in the show maybe I won't miss it, then I'll mess up something that's never been a problem before. Yeah, that definitely happened on our recital this year also. Like, no.
I couldn't tell, honestly.
Well, I couldn't tell with you as well, right?
Well. Yeah, no, my teacher was like telling me I was getting so in my head about my sonata. Because I was like playing through it, and I was
the
like,
piano one.
Yeah, and I was like cringing in my rehearsals. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so bad. And he was like, it's not that bad. You just need to stop acting like you're scared. Like he was like, just like play out, just like, you know, own the piece. And so it was really hard because like my thoughts kept being like, you're not ready, this sucks, your intonation sucks, everything sucks. But then I was like, you know what, you have to go up and you have to make it sound like something, right? And so then I took his advice and I tried to own it as much as I could. And you know what, it went better than I thought it would.
It went great, I think. That was a really beautiful piece also.
It was beautiful and so difficult.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I would play it again, to be honest. But it was a good experience for me to like get exposed to that kind of thing and just be like, wow. But yeah, it was my first sonata. I've never played a sonata before that. And so I was like, whoa, what did I get myself into? Like, could have picked something a little more straightforward, but no, but it was good. And fun fact, his brother invented the X-ray.
The brother of the composer?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's very strange. I don't know, but
brother in STEM and then the other useless brother in music. Yeah,
seriously, but yeah.
We're approaching the end, but I just want to ask you last couple of things. What are some performances / like musical events that you have coming up that you're kind of looking forward to and excited for this summer or just like in the near future?
Going home, I have been lucky to get more opportunities to play with the Edmonton Symphony, which is so exciting because that's obviously like really what I love to do, and just to get that professional experience for me is so rewarding. And like, I get paid too. I can make a living wage. Well, for like a few shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the most important part for me is getting to play with the orchestra. So I'm really excited about that.
What are you playing with them?
You know what? I need to look at all the lists, but because they keep emailing me, like, I thought they would be done, and they'd be like, "Hello, Savannah. See attached hiring offer. Please let me know your availability." And I'm like, yes. I haven't even looked it up yet. Yes, I'll do it. So, but I do know I'm doing an anime concert.
No way.
Yeah.
Edmonton Symphony's doing an anime concert.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. I'm not really sure what to expect. I think they'll definitely do like Studio Ghibli and like stuff like that.
Awesome.
But I don't know. And then we're doing Tchaikovsky piano concerto, number 1, I think. And some other piece with that. And yeah, the rest I'll get back to you on. I'm gonna have to like go home and literally like go straight there and get my music because I need to learn it.
It's 2 concerts, 3 concerts with them?
Oh gosh, more. I don't know.
Okay.
There's only like a few different show like programs.
How many programs with them?
5 maybe.
Wow.
I think.
Congrats, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think one of them is definitely like a pops concert. So I'm like, okay, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I'm going to the Banff Center, which I'm also excited about.
Sick.
I'm going in July, doing some chamber music, and that's gonna be really fun. If not just because it's in the mountains, like it's in Banff, like that's amazing to spend a whole month there, but also just to meet new people, play some chamber music, because I also really like chamber music. And the other cool aspect is that they also invite composers, and the composers, as far as I can tell, they haven't sent the actual official email, but I'm pretty certain that they come to the Banff Center and they compose music while there, and then we premiere it during the program, which is really fun and cool, like very different. So I'm kind of excited to see what kind of group I'm in and what kind of music we get to play. So yeah.
And it's like not far from home for you. Like how far is...
It's funny. It's like not far in terms of Canada, because it's all in Alberta, right? So it's in my province, but it's still like 4.5 hours away.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So Canada is just so big. I was actually talking.
I hate.
Yeah, I know. It's so. I was talking to my Scottish roommate, and she was talking about how like from the top of Scotland to the bottom of England, it takes like 14 hours to drive. And I was like,
how to leave Ontario.
Yeah, like I said, like from the top of Alberta to the bottom of Alberta, it will take you 14 hours to drive. And she was like, what? Like my whole, like half of, like Alberta is her whole country, basically. Like, so yeah.
No, I definitely feel that way about Ontario, but that's a longer conversation.
Yeah.
Me and just like, so big, everything's so pointless.
I know, right?
But I wanted to add, like, also, I remember one time you mentioned to me, like, before that, like, your dream orchestra, like, job is, like principal for, like, Edmonton. Is that kind of still the mindset you've kind of had?
You know, it's, I feel like in some ways it's kind of like, oh, whatever I get, like, because I feel like just getting a job it's got to be like the hardest thing you ever do in your career is get a job. And once you get your job, it's like, oh, well, now you can, I mean, don't kick your feet back. You still have to like do well, but I would totally go back to Edmonton if that opportunity presented itself. But if I went back to Edmonton, probably not principal, because my old teacher is the principal.
Okay.
And I think he's doing a fabulous job and I would really not like to replace him. Right. So, but like going back to Edmonton, like as an actual member would be great. Like I would totally do that. They're a great orchestra and, Edmonton is home. Right. But that being said, like I would go to many places, I think. Okay. Like Canada, even Europe. Europe is a little scary because it's just different, but like wherever the wind takes
That's what they all say. I think nowadays people are kind of like realizing it's like everything is blending styles and taking from the next country and the next
kind of
continent.
is. Yeah.
So you never know as well.
That's true. Yeah. But I also love Halifax. Like, I'm a big Halifax fan.
That NYO song really like
Yes.
did a number.
I don't know why, but we spent like 4 days in Halifax, which usually like during the tour, like you don't get that much time. But we had like, as far as I remember, we had like a couple of free days, and it was just so nice. It was so beautiful. I fell in love, and of course they had like 2 viola auditions last year, and I was
Really?
like, no, please wait, I'm almost done. Give me like 2 more years, please. But yeah, no, yeah, Halifax, if you need another violist.
If they're listening to this.
Put the audition up. I will be auditioning. Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to take an audition or try to win a job like during your degree?
I mean, I would. There was an ESO audition actually that happened last October, and I would have done it, but I was still recovering from my injury, and I was just like, there's no point in doing this because it's not gonna work for me this time. But if I had been like in my best shape, I probably would have done it, because why not? Like,
of course, yeah.
if you get a job, like that's why I'm here, right? Like,
Yeah.
is to prepare me to do that. So I would totally do that. But yeah, I definitely want to be ready as well for it. But it is a really good experience, I think,
Yeah.
to like just know what it's like to do an actual professional audition. Because even if you don't advance, it's like now I know what to expect a little bit more. So yeah, we'll see what pops up in the coming years. But
Yeah. Well, this has been an amazing talk.
yeah, it
Thank
has.
you so much for doing this.
Thank you for asking me.
Of
This has been
course.
great.
You leave on Saturday, like in what day is it today?
It's Friday. I leave
so
tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I gotta fit this into my very, very packed schedule at the end of exams. I'm just joking. I have literally nothing to do. I was like, yes, I will totally do this. Yeah.
But yeah.
So.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. This has been the EJB Talk Show with Savannah Seibel. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Boom.